Travis Scott's Utopia. Ever since the release of Astro World, Travis Scott's basically proved himself as not just a hip hop artist, but a pop star. This man's face has been everywhere: Nike deals, Jordan deals, McDonald's ads. He has a McDonald's meal. The only other McDonald's meal I can think of is BTS, and they're humongous. So, Travis is humongous. Travis is someone I've been a fan of for a very, very long time. I remember my brother playing rodeo for me, and I instantly fell in love with the man's music. When it comes to trap music, I feel like Travis is on another level. He's one of the most influential artists working in the industry today, and that comes with massive expectations for Utopia, his latest album. And it is an album I was personally disappointed in. Well, I have nothing against Travis Scott, musically, I guess. I can't vouch for him as a person, especially after. But, I really do enjoy his music. Rodeo is one of my favorite albums ever, and Astroworld is an absolute banger. Utopia just didn't click for me like that. There are some tracks I really love, and there are some tracks I really hate. But we'll get to that. Look, I'm not here to hate on Travis or anything, so if you're a Travis Scott fanboy, calm down. I'm not coming for your boy. You know what? To prove how big of a Travis Scott fan I am, look at this. That's me at the Travis Scott concert at the Formula One race in March. So yes, I'm a massive Travis Scott fan, but Utopia just doesn't hit for me. At the concert I went to, right after the show, as the outro for Goosebumps is playing, Travis gets back on the mic. He says, Saudi, thank you, and stuff like that. And then he says, I can't wait to perform Utopia for you. And, just inside, all the hype I had for this album just amplified and multiplied a billion times. So maybe my high expectations are what let me down in the end, but yes, I am a very disappointed man. The album starts off pretty strong with the track Hyena, but the track Hyena does not start off pretty strong. It starts with an intro where a Derek Shulman, he's saying the situation is neither good or bad, it might change, it might not, which to me is just a nothing statement. If you're gonna start your album off with something, at least say something, dude. And listen, let's be fair to Travis here. I wasn't expecting this album to have deep thoughts or self-reflection or things that'll change your perspective on life. That's not what I ask of Travis Scott. However, it is kind of sad how after all these years, I think 8 years since Rodeo, he still doesn't make music about anything. You come into a Travis project expecting, yes, the hype, the bangers, stuff like that. You have the occasional singy tracks. However, this it's empty. So yeah, the track Hyena after the intro is pretty good. Travis, well, I won't say raps well because as we know, he is not the greatest lyricist. But he does flow well, he glides on the beat, the production here is really great. I did enjoy it. I love the big, strong bass, drowning out most of the noise in this album. And yeah, Hyena, I guess, is a decent intro. So on Hyena, Travis is energetic, he's fun. You're not expecting conscious rap from Travis Scott, and he doesn't give it to you at all in this album. So if you were looking for conscious rap, run. This is not the album for you. Track 2 is Thank God. This one's alright for me. Production's pretty good on this track. I like the xylophone or bells or whatever's going on. I thought that was pretty fun. I like how this song flows sonically. It's a decent track for me. Track 3 is when this album hits its first bump in the road. The production's great across this whole album, so over and over you're just going to hear me saying the production's pretty good, the production's pretty good. Because it is. The production really does carry Travis on this album. The bass hits, the kick is dark, and you get excited, you're pumped. And then Travis starts rapping. The flow is decent in that first verse, but what is going on with these lyrics? Like a bi girl on a bicycle. No. Or this one. Hard, Eiffel. Really good wordplay there, Travis. Look, Travis has never really been the best rapper or the best lyricist or anything like that. It's really the production and the way he flows and the energy he brings onto the tracks. But I don't know. On Utopia, I do feel like I'm noticing these gaps in his talent more and more. Travis continues with a boring chorus and more of the subpar rapping. And then Tizo Touchdown comes in, and I thought, okay, this guy is going to come in and he's going to change the energy, and he does, but in a bad way. Tizo Touchdown comes in with these super dramatic, almost Shakespearean singing patterns, and none of it works for me. I just didn't like the way it sounded. We continue this 19-track album with the song My Eyes, which I like. It's Travis trying to give us perspective on the way he sees his life, and I won't lie to you, I don't really care. I feel like Travis in his music hasn't really portrayed himself as the most interesting character, so hearing him talk about his struggles don't really connect for me. Next track is God's Country, which is alright. I don't know what's going on with those kids singing in the background, but I don't think this is a track I'll be listening to a lot. Track 6 on Utopia is Sirens, and this might be my favorite after, well, another one I'll talk about later. The production is fantastic. I really love the beat on this, and Travis really gives what I think might be his best performance on this album. And Travis gives what I think might be the best performance on this album. Well, the best Travis performance. And the track ends with that little skit voiced by Drake for some reason, saying how his bedroom is Utopia. I do kind of get it. I understand, the whole concept of Utopia is that this Utopia doesn't really exist, and Utopia is only the way you see it, but even that concept doesn't really hit for me. The next track is Meltdown featuring Drake, and it really does feel like they're going for sicko mode too. And it's just inferior. I think the production's pretty good. Surprisingly, I like Drake's verse on this, He's not someone who I typically like. His verse here is decent. The bars, props to whoever wrote them, they're pretty good. And he does bring good energy to the track. It's exciting. Meltdown is 3 parts. The first part, which is Drake's part, is pretty good. And then you have part 2 to the track with Travis asking you if you're crazy, and Travis Scott fans will probably think that I am. And then you have part 3 to the track. The chorus finally hits, which what I think is an inferior beat to the first 2, but it's very good nonetheless. None of the production on this album feels disappointing to me, except for one track, but we'll get to that. Next track is Fiend, featuring Playboi Carti, and this one's really good. It's hype, it's energetic. Playboi Carti gives a very good performance on the chorus. The deep voice that he does for his verse doesn't really work for me, but that doesn't detract from the track in any way. It's a very good club banger. Next track is Del Resto Echoes featuring Beyonce, and Beyonce does a very good job on this track. Travis kind of doesn't, and the production really just makes this sound like something that would have been off Beyonce's Renaissance. It just feels like a demo or a cut track from that album that Travis picked up and decided to shove into the 19-track list of Utopia. Next track is I Know? ? This one is one I felt the really mellow performance Travis gives really works for me. I love the track, and this is something I'll be listening to a lot. And next we start the mediocre, almost bad, let's say bad, part of this album, starting with Utopia Twins, which is one of the most generic trap songs I've ever heard. There's nothing creative about this track to me, it's just boring and generic. And next is probably the most offensive track on this album to the art of music, and that is Circus Maximus, featuring my favorite artist The Weeknd and Sway Lee. So come on, this track is just pathetic. I know Travis is a huge Kanye fan. I know Travis has been heavily inspired by him throughout his career, but you can't just steal Black Skinhead and put it on your album. This is atrocious. It literally sounds like a rip. It sounds like a parody of Black Skinhead, and in a very, very bad way. Even The Weeknd's amazing vocals cannot carry this track. It is terrible. Next is Parasail with Young Lean, another track that I found to be extremely boring. There's just nothing exciting about this track at all to me. Young Lean's performance is as Young Lean as it possibly could be, and to me, that is not something I like. And then we have Schizo featuring Young Thug, which is a track that is 6 minutes but probably could have been 1 minute, because the first 4.5 minutes of this track are boring and generic. And the last minute of this track is very, very, very good. I have no idea what Travis was doing for 5 minutes, but it was trash. Next is Lost Forever featuring Westside Gunn. And I love Westside Gunn, so this track was probably gonna work for me, and it kind of does. You know, again, we have that problem where Travis just phones it in. Even on his own album, the performance is alright at best. Westside Gunn gives a fun performance, but it's very Westside Gunn. Nothing extremely creative going on this track. Next up is Love featuring Kid Cudi. Now, this is a track that is alright. I didn't really like it the first time I heard it, but the more I listen to it, the more I like it. Kid Cudi's part is pretty good on this. All around solid track. And next we have a track that I have no idea how it ended up on this album. It really does feel like Bad Bunny made a song and then The Weeknd and Travis Scott came on it. It doesn't make sense. It's not a song I like. It's not a song that I would find myself listening to. And I can't see myself listening to this at all. It has no place on this album. Shame on you, Travis. And next is what might be my favorite track on this album, Telekinesis, featuring Future and SZA. This is the track for me. It's strong. It's hard hitting. Future gives a very Future performance in a good way, and SZA knocks it out of the park. That whole verse is fantastic. Her voice is amazing, and this is the production that really suits her. And at the end we have, yes, another James Blake ending to a hip-hop album. Listen, I like James Blake. I think his voice is pretty good. I think he gives a good performance on this track. But come on, man. How many times are you guys gonna just bring James Blake in to give a different sound to your rap album? And then you have the most generic 21 Savage verse at the end of this, and it's just an outro that leaves a bad taste in my mouth. So overall, Travis Scott's Utopia is very disappointing to me. There are parts of this album where you think, yes, creatively, this is where you're going. On the track My Eyes, for example, I really thought we were about to get a Frank Ocean feature because that whole intro sounds like something off of Blonde, but we don't. And I think that's a really, really bad thing. Not the fact that we don't have Frank Ocean. You know, I love Frank Ocean's music, but my problem is that when I'm on an album made by Travis Scott and the people I'm looking forward to the most are the features, I think I understand what the problem is here. Travis has used features as a crutch, in my opinion, in the past. Looking at Astroworld, for example, my favorite performance on that album is Don Toliver's on Can't Say. I also love Frank Ocean's performance on Carousel. And are you starting to get a theme here? Yeah. Listen. I'll listen to whatever Travis drops next. I'm still a fan. It's just that this album really could have been special, and it just isn't. Travis has let me down. I'm not saying this album is terrible. I'm just saying it's alright, and it could have been great. I'm feeling a 6.5 out of 10 for this album. You know, my opinions are subject to change, but I've listened to this album at least like 10 times in the past week, and I am losing my mind. So, yeah, Travis Scott's Utopia. What did you think about it? Let me know, DM me, or let me know in the comments below. And thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.